Within the data center, we typically have a multitude of VLANs. And on the switching side, we tend to create trunks and enable those VLANs to go across a link. And we like to control which VLANs are on which link as well. Well, now that we have UCS configured for servers and upstream network connectivity, how do we enable the VLANs to do that? How do we control which VLANs are on which links? And how do we make sure that our entire environment has all of the VLANs we need? In this video, we're going to explore how to do that in UCS Manager. So let's start out on the LAN tab, and in fact, we'll just pick up right where we left off from the last video, establishing network connectivity in UCS. So we could actually create the VLANs here within Fabric A and Fabric B, but we're not going to do that. We're going to collapse Fabric A and Fabric B, and if we're going to create VLANs that go to both fabrics, it's best just to come out here at the bottom of the LAN cloud and see, okay, so we've got one VLAN configured, that's great. We're going to right-click on the VLANs and say, let's just create some VLANs. Creating a VLAN is fairly straightforward. We give it a VLAN ID down here, so VLAN 10 maybe, and on a switch we might get it, say, VLAN 10 name data or something to that extent. And one nuance that we need to be aware of is that in certain places in UCS Manager, it'll give you a list of VLANs that, hey, maybe we're going to add VLANs to a link, and here's our list of VLANs. And it doesn't tell us what that VLAN ID is. So we might all know, hey, it's VLAN 10. We want to add VLAN 10 to this link. And we can't remember, what did we name VLAN 10? Was it data? Was it iSCSI? Was it, what was it? And so I highly recommend that we do a dash 10 in this case. Whatever the ID is, just add it to the name so that if UCS Manager gives you only the name, that you know what VLAN ID that is. It will save us pain down the road. One other thing to pay attention to here is that if for any reason we need to configure VLANs separately between the fabrics, so maybe this is only a Fabric A VLAN or a Fabric B VLAN, it's a pretty rare situation where that's required, but if you do find yourself in that scenario, make sure that you pick which fabric it goes to. Common global is really what we want to stick with in almost all cases. It'll apply the VLAN to both fabric interconnects. So having made that, we can say OK. And from there, we can create multiple other VLANs if we so choose. In fact, there is a shortcut for that. So if we do create VLANs again, and we say, I need to make a bunch of data VLANs. So I'm going to say data dash, and I come down here and I say VLANs 11 through 15 maybe. And again, common global is good, so I say OK. And what's cool is that it actually appended the VLAN ID to my name in every case. So it matches exactly what I did here, data-10. Now we got data-11, 12, 13, all the way down to 15. So if we need to batch create a bunch of VLANs, that can save us a bunch of time, just knowing that the naming scheme is going to be the same for all of those. If you need, again, iSCSI, live migration, etc., you're going to have to create each one of those individually, and there's just no way around that. Now, UCS takes all of the VLANs that we've created here, 10 through 15, and it puts them on all of the uplinks by default. Now, in our case, we only have one port channel per fabric interconnect, but let's say we had 2 port channels. And then let's say we wanted half of these VLANs on one and half of these VLANs on another port channel. The way we do that is with a concept called VLAN groups. So right here, we can right-click on VLAN group, say create a new VLAN group, call this VLANs, let's say here 10 to 12. And so we're going to pick VLANs 10, 11, and 12. This, by the way, is where we can specify whether it's a native VLAN on that link or not. So we can maybe set VLAN 10 to be the native. And here we can add the uplink ports. Now, again, UCSC views the uplink ports differently from the port channels. So we don't actually have any uplink ports right now. We do, however, have a port channel. So we have A and B in this case. We can go ahead and add both of those in and say finish. And so right now, we have added VLANs 10 through 12 to our individual uplinks. Now, the funny thing is we haven't actually added 13 through 15 to anything, so those VLANs are effectively cut off to the rest of the network. And so we'd want to make sure that we add a group for that and apply it to a different interface. UCS gives us full control over configuring VLANs and enabling those on uplinks. Remember that all VLANs are enabled on all uplinks by default, and if we want to change that behavior, we can prune the VLANs using VLAN groups. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.